This electric bike is the best budget-friendly commuter I've tested this year, but let me explain why. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I live in a hilly neighborhood where my old cruiser bike left me sweaty and late, so I decided to try the Ihahvc SASIKEIBIKE 1500W Motor Foldable Electric Bike. After 3 weeks of daily use and a couple of weekend trail rides, I can honestly say it's the most practical e-bike I've owned under $1,200. It folds in about 20 seconds, fits in my tiny apartment closet, and the 1,500-watt motor still pulls me up steep hills without sounding like a jet engine. The rear basket is big enough for a backpack and a grocery bag, which solves the where do I put my stuff problem that kept me on the bus for years. One thing that surprised me is how quiet the ride is. A lot of budget motors whine or buzz, but this one hums at low speeds and only gets loud when you really mash the throttle. I've used it in residential areas at 5 a.m. without waking the neighbors, which is great when you're trying to sneak out for an early ride. The 7-speed Shimano drivetrain lets you dial in the effort, pedal lightly on flat roads, shift down and let the motor do the work on hills, or go full throttle when you're running late. The cadence sensor is responsive enough that you don't feel like you're pedaling through syrup, unlike some cheaper hub motors that lag behind your stroke. Battery life is the one area where I expected to be disappointed, but the 48V15Ah Samsung cell pack has held up better than I thought. I get about 25 to 30 miles per charge in eco mode, which is perfect for my 12-mile round-trip commute plus errands. If I'm feeling lazy, I'll flip it to sport mode and still clear 18 miles, which is more than enough for most city riders. Charging takes 4 to 5 hours from empty, and the removable battery slides out in 2 seconds so I can top it up on my desk instead of dragging the whole bike to an outlet. The only real downside is that the charger runs a little warm, so I don't leave it unattended overnight just to be safe. The frame feels sturdy for the price. It's 6061 aluminum with welds that don't look like they were done by a middle school shop class. The folding mechanism is simple, 2 quick-release levers and a spring-assisted hinge, so I can fold it one-handed while holding a coffee. The 20-inch wheels roll over potholes better than the 16-inch wheels on my last folder, and the mechanical disc brakes stop me from 15 miles per hour in about 3 bike lengths, even when it's wet. The LCD display is basic but clear. It shows speed, battery percentage, and a few preset modes, which is all I need. I wish the backlight stayed on a little longer, but that's a nitpick. Assembly was straightforward. The box came with the frame pre-welded, so I only had to attach the handlebar, seat post, pedals, and front wheel. The instructions were in decent English, and the included hex keys fit the bolts without rounding them out. I had it ride-ready in under 30 minutes, which is faster than assembling some kids' bikes I've wrestled with. The only part that gave me trouble was tightening the torque arms on the rear axle. The manual says 40 Newton meters, but the included wrench is only marked in inch-pounds, so I had to look up the conversion. Once that was sorted, everything felt tight and secure. One real-world test I put it through was hauling a 50-pound load of gardening soil in the rear basket plus a 25-pound dog in a front basket. The bike handled it without sagging or wobbling, and the motor didn't overheat or cut out. I also took it on a gravel fire road last weekend, something I wouldn't attempt on a cheap folding bike, and the wider tires gripped surprisingly well. The only time I felt nervous was when I hit a deep pothole at full speed, but the thick puncture-resistant tubes kept me from getting a flat. If you're planning to ride off-road regularly, you might want to upgrade the tires, but for city streets and light trails it's more than adequate. Pros and cons. On the plus side, the price-to-performance ratio is excellent, the folding mechanism is genuinely useful for small spaces, and the removable battery makes charging convenient. On the downside, the charger gets warm during long sessions, and the LCD backlight could be brighter for night rides. Also, the seat is a bit firm for longer distances, so I swapped in a gel cover after a week. If you're looking for an affordable, foldable electric bike that actually works for commuting and errands, this one is hard to beat. Link is below if you want to take a closer look.